Hi, my name is John. Welcome to the King's Highway. Well, it's a cool day in early April, and I'm standing here just at the beginning of the Thousand Islands Parkway here in Gananoque, Ontario, right off the 401, which is right there. The Thousand Islands Parkway is a scenic parkway in southern Ontario that extends from Gananoque 40 kilometers up to Butternut Bay, just outside of Brockville. The parkway follows the north shore of the St. Lawrence River. Formerly designated as King's Highway 2S, it was an extension of the northerly route Highway 2. Thousand Islands Parkway was originally constructed as a divided highway during the 30s alongside the Thousand Islands Bridge, and the bridge had opened in 1938. Originally it was called St. Lawrence River Road, and it was signed as part of Highway 401, which at that time was being planned for building in the 1950s. The parkway is a scenic route, and it travels all the way from Gananoque on the west side all the way up to Butternut Bay outside Brockville on the east side. It's a good time to drive right now because we're seeing some of the foliage from the trees is off because we're just entering spring here and the new leaves haven't grown on, thus affording some decent views of the river on the right-hand side traveling east. If you want to travel west, you're best sitting on the left to get the best views. Situated near Gananoque, where the parkway starts, we're in about the center point of the Thousand Islands along the shore of the St. Lawrence River on the Canadian side. This part of the river is called the St. Lawrence Seaway, and it was built in 1959 to ensure that large freight traffic could enter the system and travel all the way down from the Atlantic to the upper lakes of the Great Lakes. You can see here the original alignment from the parkway. The eastbound road still travels 2 lanes in each direction, but the westbound side of the parkway has now become a bicycle path. When the parkway was built in the 1930s, it was built following the construction of the bridge at Ivy Lee to the United States. As they wished to have tourists visit Canada, they needed to have a decent road. So originally, the gravel road, Thousand Islands Road, led down to Gananoque from the bridge to bring tourists across the border, as the bridge crossed in a fairly remote part. Keep in mind that upstate New York was quite remote at that time until the interstate highway was built in the 1960s. So about 15 kilometers outside of Gananoque, you meet Highway 137, also one of the shortest provincial highways in Canada. This is the road that links Ivy Lee to the bridge to the USA, and there are essentially several bridge components that take us across the Thousand Islands and into New York State. Along the way, we encounter the historic village of Rockport. It's been a port on the St. Lawrence since the late 1700s. It's now a major terminus for Thousand Island boat cruise tours. The parkway cuts through the rugged terrain of the Frontenac Arch, which is a protrusion of the Canadian Shield, and it runs southward into New York State. This rock had to be blasted out in order to create the parkway, but the important thing to remember is that we're at the southern tip of this type of rock formation. This rock, also known as the Canadian Shield, extends through the Thousand Islands, and you can see over there the rock is also part of the landscape into northern New York. But what's most important about this is that this rock, the Canadian Shield, extends right through central Ontario, central southern Ontario, and up into northern Ontario. The alignment of the bicycle path, the former westbound lanes, and also a snowmobile trail in the winter, crossing over the parkway now, which runs east and westbound. This viewing spot is about halfway between Brockville and Gananoque, and it's actually a nice place to stop to get some views, park your car, get out, maybe even have a picnic. There's lots of places along the parkway to stop, and in summertime it's just delightful, but in winter or in early spring or in fall, once the leaves have left, we get much clearer views as the leaves and the trees are gone. We can see through what is very dense foliage once everything comes in. At any time of year, even on a gray day, St. Lawrence River and its majestic beauty never ceases to take your breath away. These islands are populated by private cottages and homes. Some are seasonal and can only be accessed by boat. At different times of year, the water level will rise and fall depending on rainfall and snow accumulation. The predominance of the Canadian Shield produces scenic and diverse landscapes along the parkway, which include the exposed rock formations that we're looking at, as well as trees, fields, beaches, marsh, and reeds. Mallory Town Landing. If you're coming here in the summer along the Thousand Islands Parkway, one place you definitely have to stop at is Browns Bay Beach and day use area. It's actually really nice down here. There's actually a beach here and lots of amenities, including washrooms. Only a couple of Canada Geese down here today, but there is an admission charge. It's worth it. Includes your parking, etc. They've just done some renovations down here, but highly recommend it. You'll find Browns Bay Beach and day use area just down from Butternut Bay after you exit the 401 if you're coming west from Brockville, and if you're coming east, it's towards the end of the Thousand Islands Parkway. The other thing too to keep in mind with the Thousand Islands Parkway is if you're traveling along the 401 and you're heading, say, to Toronto or anywhere west of Kingston, you want a bit of a break, come on the Parkway. Even if you don't stop and get out, you're going to have a very relaxing half hour just taking it easy and taking in the views along the rolling landscapes as you take in the mighty St. Lawrence next to you. As you approach Jones Creek, just before Butternut Bay, you're going to go under a bridge, this bridge behind me. Interestingly enough, this bridge does not carry any roads, but rather a footpath. And it leads from the Sifton's waterfront estate, which has been here for years. It was originally used so that they could take their horses over the parkway, and was built around the same time that the road was put through to connect the two parts of the estate together. Very interesting. I always wondered what the bridge was for. A footpath. And as we approach Butternut Bay, one of the last places we will encounter is Jones Creek, and this is Jones Creek Bridge. Originally built back when the highway was built in the 1930s, the bridge was completely rehabilitated back in 2015 and 2016. The creek itself is absolutely beautiful, flows into the St. Lawrence, a great place to bring your canoe if you want to do that and enjoy some of the national park that lies along the creek and can be accessed a little further west of here through the National Park Gate. So it's at this point that we reach the end of the Thousand Islands Parkway as we continue on towards Butternut Bay, where it officially ends. Butternut Bay, a small hamlet just 6 kilometers west of Brockville. If you follow that road onwards, though, it will take you right back onto the 401 eastbound towards Cornwall and Montreal. And if you follow this road all the way down, that's the Thousand Islands Parkway that we just came along, and it will take you all the way back to Gananoque. If you choose not to take the parkway, you still have the 401 as your option and all the tractor trailers that go on that. Anyway, this is King's Highway. It's going to be a series about highways across Ontario, driving and exploring the history that lies beside and beneath Ontario's roads. The original Highway 2S, now the Thousand Islands Parkway, is one of the oldest provincial highways in the province, one of the most scenic highways in the province. Highly recommend you take the time to have a look at it if you're in the area. Hey, I'd like to thank you for joining me for this episode. We'll be back next week with another edition of Kings Highway.